Hello, today I will talk about the love story between Sayama and Saikawa from the anime Mask Danshi. This shouldn't lead to love. Keigo, Sayama, is a shy teenager with a secret insecurity, which is why he wears a mask that covers half of his face. He wears this mask anytime and anywhere. He built a whole wall around him that protects him from any trace of socialization. All these things until one day, when Mitsuru Sangō falls right on Sayama, causing the poor boy to pass out. Saikawa takes him to the infirmary, and tries to apologize for what happened. Then being curious, he approaches Sayama, and tries to move his mask, to see his face, and if there is something wrong with that. But Sayama, just like a grumpy cat, starts to scratch and talk very badly. It seems that under that mask, Sayama really has a bad mouth, that surprises Mitsuru, and makes him laugh. Because he thought that his little classmate was always very shy, and now he sees that he's really talkative. And from this moment, Mitsuru Sangō starts to follow Sayama everywhere. Sayama is not too happy about his presence. He finds him very annoying, especially because Mitsuru comments about almost any activity Sayama does. However, Sayama has other problems that make his life difficult, such as math, and the low grades he gets. And the latest test results aren't too good, and Sayama is worried that his parents will confiscate his game console and punish him. Mitsuru, good at everything as he was, notices that Sayama isn't looking good in class, so he follows him and takes the test from his hand, to see the bad grades. Sayama is angry and ashamed, and takes his paper back. But Mitsuru insists that he should teach him how math works. Sayama doesn't even want to hear it, and rejects the idea immediately. Also at the same time, a group of girls call Mitsuru. And he goes, but tells Sayama to wait for him right there. Sayama sits and observes the situation for a few minutes. And he can't help but comment that all of Mitsuru's social life is because of his pretty face. And Sayama really doesn't understand why someone like Mitsuru, with a lot of friends, is hanging out with someone as antisocial as him. But something else Sayama also notices. The way Mitsuru moves his face, even though he seems to be smiling, with his lips, his eyes are cold, which means that Mitsuru is just pretending to be nice. And this disgusts Sayama. Mitsuru notices the change in Sayama's behavior, and he wants to know what's the problem. Sayama explains that he saw that Mitsuru's eyes aren't smiling, and that it's all just a fake act. Mitsuru Sangō is surprised that someone finally saw through him, but also intrigued at the same time. So, he approaches Sayama, and tells him also a few things. Like the fact that Sayama should be more careful about himself, and the mouth he hides. Because that mouth, and lips, being so hidden, attract Mitsuru's attention very much. And to prove his point, he playfully touches Sayama's mouth, under the mask. Sayama feels that he probably provoked Mitsuru a bit too much. So, he takes back what he said about the fake smile, and pushes Mitsuru. Throughout the episode, we can also see a glimpse of what Mitsuru is really starting to feel for Sayama. It seems that, until the incident at the infirmary, Mitsuru only perceived Sayama just as a shy classmate, who looked a bit strange with that mask. And at the infirmary, when Sayama was still dizzy, Mitsuru had the opportunity to see his pretty face and lips. And for Mitsuru, it was as if a passionate interest was born in his heart. And this romantic interest seems to be developing, as Mitsuru never misses a chance to get closer to Sayama. And later, when Sayama comes at him and complains that his grades are very bad, and he needs help studying, Mitsuru takes advantage, and puts a condition, that he wants some payback in return. Sayama is quite anxious when he hears about the strange condition imposed by Mitsuru, but since he doesn't have many choices, he accepts, and goes to Tsuzuru's house, for the private lesson. At first, the lesson goes smoothly, but when it comes the time for the payback, things get a little heated. Let's say that Tsuzuru plays a little too much with Sayama's mask and lips. After this unforgettable incident, Sayama can't stop thinking about Tsuzuru's interesting touch. Especially when things seem to continue in the same manner for a long period of time. Although Sayama's grades are better, he still needs Tsuzuru's help. And so their little activity and play under the mask continues. Until one day, when things kind of escalate, and Sayama has more new things to experience, and a lot of feelings start to appear. And Sayama realizes that he doesn't mind his innocent games with Tsuzuru at all, and starts to like him. However, he cannot face these feelings now, and decides to take some space away from Tsuzuru. And to this decision, something from Sayama's past is added. A girl that Sayama used to be at school with now appears in the high school hallway, and it seems that Sayama hurt this person in the past with some bad words. And Sayama feels guilty. And he thinks that he really doesn't deserve to be loved, because he has a bad mouth, and he needs to get away from Tsuzuru to not hurt him too. And for a short while, Sayama manages to avoid Tsuzuru. But Tsuzuru notices the cold behavior. So he confronts Sayama, and forces him to talk to him. Sayama explains that he doesn't want Tsuzuru to just play with him and his feelings. And Tsuzuru makes it clear that he's not playing around. He really has honest feelings. Eventually, the two have a much more serious conversation, and Sayama opens up, and explains what happened in his past, and why he wears that mask. When Sayama was younger, his schoolmates laughed at his mole that he has on his face. And his friend, the girl who appeared earlier, defended him, and said that that mole is not attractive at all. She said it in such a way that the others would leave Sayama alone. But back then, Sayama didn't understand that girl's good intention, and he yelled at her, and offended her, with some very harsh words. Since then, Sayama was terrified of what was coming out of his mouth, and decided to cover it with that mask. And that's the big reason for Sayama's insecurity, which he also admits that is a bit absurd. But he's too scared to do anything now. Tsuzuru listens to the story, and he understands, and comforts him. Then, the two return to their little relationship, and over the course of the manga, the two become much closer. Mask Danshi, This Shouldn't Lead to Love, is a yaoi manga series, created by Mitsuru Sangō. And the anime is just one episode, and incorporates almost all the events that happened in the first volume. And in the volume 2 and 3, the relationship between Sayama and Saikawa develops, and other characters appear to challenge their relationship. We also find more about Tsuzuru's past and family, and why he has that fake smile. Is an interesting story, and I suggest you to watch and read it. Thanks for watching, and subscribe if you want more related content.